911.
I need an ambulance, please.
911.
I need an ambulance.
What's wrong, ma'am?
My daughter fell in the pool and she's not breathing.
This is Amanda Lewis on the phone with 911. Her 7-year-old daughter, Adrianna Hutto, is floating face down in the pool. She has no breath or movement, and time is running out. To the dispatcher, it sounds like a mother's worst nightmare. A tragic drowning, a race against time. But what no one realizes yet is that this isn't an accident at all. Because soon the only witness, the one no one expected, will reveal a truth far more horrifying.
Mr. True Crime.
Adrianna Elaine Hutto, born September 16, 1999, was a 7-year-old girl living in Esto, Florida. She shared a modest home with her mother, 27-year-old Amanda Lewis, and her 6-year-old half-brother, AJ Hutto. Esto was a quiet town with a population of just 361, a place so small that even the locals would say there's not much to see. Despite its quiet nature, this community was about to face a tragedy that would leave it shaken forever. Adrianna was a happy child. She was very outgoing and hyper. She looked like her mother, acted like her mother, and shared the exact headstrong nature. On the other hand, unlike his sister, AJ was the calmer, more relaxed child. He was quiet. He could sit in the corner, play alone, and be content and happy. Amanda seemed to be enjoying life with her kids. She shared the house with her boyfriend, Alan Conley, and his 14-year-old son, Alan Michael. They had recently installed a new pool outside their house. August 8, 2007, the day began like any other after finishing her night shift as a certified nursing assistant at Bonifay Nursing Home, working from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. Amanda returned home around 8 a.m. to find her 2 children, 7-year-old Adrianna and 6-year-old AJ, awake and watching cartoons. Adrianna mentioned feeling unwell and said she had vomited earlier, but neither child wanted food. After tidying up and napping, Amanda woke around 12:30, 1 p.m. to find the kids still watching cartoons. The day's plan was straightforward: school supply shopping. Adrianna and AJ had eagerly picked out items from advertisements. They also asked about swimming in the backyard pool, but Amanda dismissed the idea as they needed to leave soon. The family's above-ground pool had been installed about 2 months earlier. It was a new addition to their yard and was intended for supervised use only. As a safety precaution, the pool ladder was locked in a nearby shed to prevent the children from climbing in independently. Strict rules were in place about pool safety. Children were not allowed to play near the pool without an adult present. While the children played outside, Amanda took the opportunity to perform household chores and prepare herself. Around 1:30 p.m., she went to the front door to check on the kids. AJ was climbing trees nearby, but Adrianna was not visible. She then walked through the house to the sliding glass door at the back. At this point, she was on the phone with her boyfriend, Alan Conley. When she looked out the door, she saw AJ standing on a wagon near the pool, leaning over the edge and raking at something. She asked AJ what he was doing, and he replied, "Adrianna is upside down in the pool, and she's not moving." Panicked, Amanda dropped the phone and ran to the pool. Adrianna was floating face down in the center of the pool. She leaned over the edge, stretching to grab her daughter by the foot. She struggled but managed to pull Adrianna out of the pool. Adrianna was lifeless, her face was purple, and water was flowing from her nose. She immediately called 911.
911.
I need an ambulance, please.
911.
I need an ambulance.
What's wrong, ma'am?
My daughter fell in the pool and she's not breathing.
Where at, ma'am?
In Esto.
Ma'am, what's your address?
3343 First Avenue South.
3343 First Avenue South.
A family member named Alan Michael also happened to be at home. Alan Michael took AJ inside while Amanda attempted CPR on Adrianna. She tried her best while on the phone with 911 dispatchers. Paramedics arrived shortly after and took over resuscitation efforts.
And she's not breathing. How old is she?
She's 7 years old.
All right, hang on just a second, ma'am.
When paramedics arrived, Adrianna was blue and unconscious. Resuscitation efforts began immediately as she was transported to Bay Medical in an air ambulance. Sergeant Michael Rayleigh responded to an emergency call, reporting that 7-year-old Adrianna Hutto had been found unresponsive in a swimming pool. Upon arrival at the scene, Fire Chief Cochran was actively performing CPR on Adrianna while her mother, Amanda Lewis, knelt nearby, visibly distraught and emotional. Paramedics soon arrived and transported Adrianna to a landing zone, where she was airlifted for further medical attention.
How are you affiliated with this case?
Well, on August 8th, 2007, I heard a call out over the radio about a 7-year-old girl that was unresponsive in a swimming pool in Esto. I responded to the scene with my Chief Deputy, Harry Hamilton. Got there right after Larry and Travis Cook. When I got there, I saw Esto Fire Chief Cochran performing CPR on the little girl, Adrianna Hutto. I also saw her mother off to the right. She was kneeling down, crying, appeared to be upset. The cooks then took over CPR. There was some concern about how long the child had been in the water. Apparently they hadn't been able to establish a time frame. I went over to the mother and tried to find out how long she'd been in the water. All she could tell me was 15 minutes to an hour. I tried to walk her through what had happened to see if she'd give me a better time frame. She told me that she had taken a shower, and that had taken about 5 to 10 minutes, gotten dressed, that had taken about 5 minutes, and done some laundry, but she couldn't give a time frame on that. I asked her if there was anyone else home, and she told me that her 6-year-old son, AJ, was inside, and her boyfriend's 14-year-old son was inside with him.
But sadly, their efforts proved fruitless, as Adrianna was pronounced dead after an hour at the hospital. What really happened on August 8, 2007? Was it foul play, or does something not add up? Investigators spoke with Amanda Lewis, Adrianna's mother, at Bay Medical to find answers. Amanda Lewis recounted the entire story to the investigators, detailing the events leading up to Adrianna's tragic death during their questioning at Bay Medical. Amanda explained to investigators that Adrianna was cautious around water, often clinging to the pool's edge or wearing floaties. While the water was shallow enough for her to stand, she avoided submerging her face and even preferred having her hair rinsed with a cup during baths, avoiding lying back in the tub. Adrianna had never entered the pool without permission before that day. Contradicting behaviors, when asked why Adrianna was near the pool, Amanda explained that AJ told her Adrianna was trying to scoop bugs out of the water. Amanda speculated Adrianna used a white plastic tub as the net for cleaning the pool and was locked in the shed. She insisted Adrianna had never entered the pool without permission before.
Did you say, now, earlier when we were up there, I thought you had told me that they said they wanted to get in the pool?
Yeah, first thing this morning they wanted to get in the pool and go swimming. Mm-hmm. And I told them to let me take my nap, and then we'd talk about it. And I asked them, I said, well, do you want to swim in the pool, or do you want to go get your school stuff? And then they wanted to go get their school stuff. But then when I asked him what she was doing, he said she was cleaning the bugs out of the pool so we could go swimming.
There was another explanation for this surprised behavior by Adrianna, the ongoing ADHD issue. According to Amanda, Adrianna was diagnosed with ADHD and was on Focalin, a medication that Amanda said improved her behavior significantly in the past month. Before the medication change, Adrianna had frequent disciplinary issues at school, leading to daily calls to Amanda. Since starting Focalin, her behavior at home and school has improved, though Amanda admitted forgetting to give Adrianna her dose that morning.
But Adrianna, she had ADHD and she was on Focalin. And one minute she could want to go get her school stuff, and then next she would want to get in the pool. She would go back and forth in what she wanted to do.
Okay. You said, I guess, is AJ had said that she was cleaning the bugs out of the pool?
She was trying to get the bugs out of the pool so we could swim.
Okay.
The investigators asked about a bruise on Adrianna's forehead. Amanda claimed the mark wasn't present earlier in the day. She speculated Adrianna might have hit her head on the pool's chlorine tablet container or another object while leaning over the pool to scoop bugs.
What about the bruises?
The one that was on, when I pulled her out of the pool, the one that was right here was a very small purple spot. It wasn't nothing like it is right now. And when they got there, they asked me if she had bumped her head or she had had a mark all day, and I told them no, she's not had a mark on her head.
Had she had any bruises?
Well, I mean, little ones on her legs, and I think she had one on her left arm or her right arm where her and AJ would fight. But other than that, she didn't have any.
Amanda described Adrianna as a curious and sometimes mischievous child who occasionally got into trouble but was not a bad child. As the questioning continued, at one point, Amanda broke down, recounting her inability to save Adrianna. She expressed deep frustration over her limited CPR skills. Amanda revealed to investigators that Adrianna's death brought back painful memories of losing another child when she was just 17. Her first child had died from undiagnosed seizures, a tragedy that left Amanda with lasting grief.
You said something that struck my attention there in the house. You said you couldn't go through this again. Have you lost a child before? Can you tell me basically what that was about?
He had seizures. It's been now about 10 years ago.
10?
10. I was 17, young, and I made a mistake and got pregnant. And we didn't know that he was sick. And the last time that I took him, he seen Dr. Barron, and I'll never forget it. But he told me that there was nothing wrong with him and sent us home. And then I think it was the following week he had his first seizure. And it was in his sleep. He was taking a nap. And when I went to check on him, he wasn't breathing.
Amanda told investigators that she did everything in her power to keep her children safe and insisted Adrianna's drowning was a tragic accident. She described herself as a strict parent who adhered to safety rules, especially around the pool, and maintained that Adrianna had never shown reckless behavior around the water before. Amanda's account was calm and detailed, but her pain was evident as she recounted the harrowing events of that day. After recounting her version of events to investigators, Amanda voluntarily agreed to take a polygraph test and ultimately passed it, further demonstrating her willingness to cooperate with the investigation. It initially seemed like a natural incident, but there was another witness to this situation, 6-year-old AJ. Although he was a child, AJ had been telling a different story about his grandparents, so officers also interviewed AJ. As the sole eyewitness to the incident, AJ's account was vital to understanding what had happened that day. However, AJ's story differed significantly from his mother's version, adding a layer of complexity and controversy to the investigation. In the interview, AJ described the events leading up to the tragic moment. According to him, Adrianna had been doing stuff she wasn't supposed to, such as wetting AJ and spraying a substance that makes everything smell good, and explained that this behavior upset their mother, prompting Amanda to punish Adrianna. AJ described earlier in the day when Adrianna had been told to scoop bugs out of the pool. He said their mother instructed Adrianna to do this task alone, even though she expressed fear and hesitation. AJ indicated that Amanda had been upset with Adrianna for playing with her things, including a hairbrush and other personal items. AJ claimed Amanda told Adrianna to go somewhere, but when Adrianna refused, Amanda allegedly took her to the pool. At this point, AJ's story became more unsettling. He stated that Amanda dunked Adrianna in the pool as punishment. Adrianna reportedly tried to escape, but Amanda pulled her back into the water and continued to submerge her. AJ recounted seeing his sister upside down in the pool when he later stood on the wagon to look.
Adrianna was laying like this and Mama holding her like this so she wouldn't scream.
Tell me what you mean when you say dunk. Somebody dunked somebody.
Mama dunked my sister.
What does that mean?
Drowning.
Can you tell me how that happens?
When Adrianna messes with stuff. Today.
Today?
So,
Who was in the pool?
Adrianna.
Did your mama get in the pool?
No. Adrianna was just in the pool with Mama. But Adrianna was laying like this and Mama holding her like this so she wouldn't scream.
Today?
Yes, so.
Then what happened?
Adrianna started screaming when Mama took her hand off of Adrianna's face.
Where were they at?
At the pool.
AJ's narrative centered on the term dunking, which he used repeatedly to describe Amanda's actions. When asked what he meant by dunking, AJ demonstrated how Amanda allegedly held Adrianna's face underwater. He said his mother punished Adrianna for messing with stuff and not listening. AJ described Adrianna screaming and struggling, but Amanda continued to submerge her in the pool. But this was not the first time Amanda had dunked Adrianna in the pool as a punishment. When investigators pressed AJ on whether this type of incident had ever happened before, AJ stated that Amanda had dunked Adrianna in the pool on previous occasions, mentioning that it had occurred 4 times in total.
How many times did she get dumped?
4 times.
4 times? Do you know if that was when y'all was in school, or was it during spring break?
During spring break.
Was that yesterday or last week or
Today.
today?
However, AJ insisted that this particular day was the first time the incident resulted in such a dire outcome. As a child in the interview, AJ struggled to maintain a consistent timeline and often interjected unrelated details. He described playing with his toys, watching cartoons, and interacting with his mother and sister throughout the day. Despite his tangents, AJ consistently said that Amanda had intentionally held Adrianna underwater as punishment. AJ also recalled Amanda telling him to fetch Alan Michael after Adrianna was unresponsive. He described seeing his mother trying to revive Adrianna and noticing that water was coming out of her nose and mouth. The stark contrast between Amanda's and AJ's interviews painted a complex picture. Amanda's account portrayed the tragedy as a devastating accident. AJ's version, however, introduced the possibility of a darker reality, a mother's alleged punishment gone horribly wrong. Investigators were now tasked with reconciling these conflicting narratives to uncover the truth. AJ's story would become a cornerstone of the case against Amanda Lewis. After interviewing both mother and son, investigators sought a third perspective from Alan Michael Carnley, an eyewitness who was present at the time of the incident. His account was intended to clarify the conflicting stories provided by Amanda and AJ, and to provide any additional details about the tragic event. Alan Michael began his interview by describing his day. He woke up around 1 p.m. and decided to watch TV. He mentioned that Amanda told him earlier in the day about her plans to take AJ and Adrianna shopping for school supplies. Later, after spending about 30-40 minutes awake, he took a shower. It was during this time that AJ ran into his room and exclaimed that Adrianna was dead. Startled, Alan Michael rushed outside, where he saw Amanda performing CPR on Adrianna. Amanda then instructed him to take AJ inside, which he did, turning on cartoons to calm AJ down. Alan Michael's testimony primarily supports Amanda's version of events, painting her as a distraught mother who discovered her daughter unresponsive and tried to save her. His account of her performing CPR and her general demeanor aligns with her narrative of a tragic accident. However, his mentioning Adrianna's hesitation around water and AJ's potential role introduces ambiguity that does not entirely exonerate Amanda or confirm AJ's allegations. In the face of mounting evidence, police finally arrested Amanda in September 2007 for further investigation and charged her later with first-degree murder. She was offered a plea bargain that would have required her to plead guilty to manslaughter in exchange for a 10-year sentence, but she declined in favor of going to trial, and a trial began in early 2008. Amanda went to trial in February 2008, where defense argued that statements made by AJ presented as evidence are unreliable, citing inconsistencies in his accounts during further questioning. The defense also claimed that AJ's statements were influenced by his grandparents, who were caring for him while Amanda was at the hospital as doctors attempted to save Adrianna. They suggested that AJ's testimony was motivated by Pa Chuck, raising further doubts about its credibility. Despite these arguments, AJ's initial claims of witnessing his mother dunking Adrianna were pivotal. The police presented various pieces of evidence, including testimony from Amanda Lewis's co-worker. The co-worker described Lewis's behavior and demeanor at work, offering insights into her character and potential stressors leading up to the incident. During Amanda Lewis's trial, two of her co-workers, Kimberly Smith and Takesha Dorsey, testified about Amanda's behavior and statements leading up to Adrianna's death, shedding light on her state of mind and her relationship with her daughter. Kimberly Smith, a licensed practical nurse, LPN, who worked with Amanda at the North Florida Rehab and Nursing Center, recalled an incident in late April or May 2007. It was common practice for nurses and assistants to bring their children to work to catch the school bus, and Amanda often brought Adrianna and AJ. One morning, Amanda arrived visibly angry and frustrated. She threw up her hands and exclaimed, "I'm gonna kill her. I can't take it anymore." This outburst in front of Adrianna prompted another nurse to intervene and take Amanda aside to calm her down. Smith consoled Adrianna, who was crying, and noted Amanda appeared to be at her breaking point that morning.
Toward the end of the school year last year, was there one occasion, one morning that she brought the children in that stands out in your mind?
Yes, sir. She came in very, very angry that morning. Walked around the nurse's station, come through the door, very frustrated, threw her hands up, and she was like, "I'm going to kill her. I can't take it anymore." And one of the other nurses who was kind of sitting behind me, she put her hand up and she said, "Hang on, Amanda." She said, "You need to come with me. We need to go back here and talk."
Where were the children?
Adrianna was right behind her, and she was crying.
Okay. What did you do to Adrianna that morning?
Well, the other nurse took Amanda back to the back, and I took Adrianna and I put her on my lap. She was crying, and I asked her, I said, "What's wrong?" She said, "Mommy's..."
Well, can't really get into that, okay? We got some evidentiary rules here, okay?
That I had her.
Did you console Adrianna?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Takesha Dorsey, the unit coordinator and Amanda's supervisor, also testified in the court. She recalled similar incident when Amanda storming into the nursing home one morning, visibly frustrated and repeating the same shocking statement. Concerned for both Amanda and the patients they cared for, Dorsey took Amanda aside and counseled her in private. She reassured Amanda that such outbursts were often not meant, but emphasized the importance of staying calm around children. She prayed with Amanda, helping her calm down. Dorsey also recounted another conversation with Amanda about her relationship with Adrianna. Amanda admitted to struggling with maternal bonding, blaming her time away in the military during Adrianna's early years. She confessed she did not love Adrianna as she thought a mother should. However, Amanda never expressed similar feelings about AJ.
Where do you live and where do you work?
I live in Marianna, Florida, and I currently work at the North Florida Rehab Nursing Center and also the Graceville Correctional Facility.
Okay. Last year, did you work at Graceville Nursing Center, sir?
I did.
Ma'am? Okay. What was your position there, Ms.
I was the unit coordinator, LPN unit coordinator.
Did you come to know a woman by the name of Amanda Lewis?
I did.
Is she in the courtroom today, ma'am?
She is.
Would you please point her out for us?
She's right there.
Okay.
Takesha Dorsey reinforced Kimberly Smith's testimony, further highlighting Amanda Lewis's struggles as a mother.
Is there one morning in particular that stands out in your mind when the defendant brought her children to school?
It was one particular morning. She came in.
Would you tell us about that?
She came in and she was very upset, very irate, and we said, "What's wrong, Amanda?" She said, "I'm just gonna kill him, I'm gonna kill her." And I was like, "Don't say that." And I asked her to come go with me. And Adrianna got up in Kim's lap and sat, and I took Amanda into the pantry and talked to her.
Okay. What did you counsel her about? Well, first of all, why did you do that?
Because she was upset, and that was the beginning of the day. Not only was she dealing with her children, but she was going to be dealing with the residents there.
And you were one of her supervisors?
And I was the supervisor. I was in charge of the unit to ensure that the unit ran smoothly. That was my job.
So did you counsel with her?
Yes, I took her into the pantry and I told her, I said, "Amanda, a lot of times we say things that we don't mean and that we don't mean to say, especially to our children." And so once we talked and we got into the conversation, I said, "Can we pray?" And we began to pray. And once we prayed about it, she calmed down.
As the prosecution presented its case, the trial took a scientific turn when medical professionals detailed the tragic circumstances surrounding Adrianna's death. The testimony of Dr. Fox, a seasoned emergency room physician, became a pivotal moment, offering insights into Adrianna's condition upon arrival at the hospital and the efforts made to save her life. Dr. Fox testified that Adrianna was brought to the emergency room unresponsive, with fixed and dilated pupils, wet hair, and cold, pale skin. Despite exhaustive life-saving efforts that included administering multiple medications, intubation, and chest compressions, Adrianna's condition did not improve. After briefly regaining a pulse, she lost it again, and attempts to resuscitate her ultimately failed. Dr. Fox recalled noticing injuries during her initial assessment. Adrianna had red marks on her forehead and shoulder, which became more pronounced and purple over time. The injuries, according to Dr. Fox, appeared fresh and were inconsistent with standard life-saving measures. The testimony drew attention to these injuries as potential evidence of foul play.
Would you tell us what condition Adrianna Hutto was in when she actually came in the emergency room?
When we first got her, she was still in clothes. Essentially, some of it had been sort of cut away from her chest so they could do their compressions and such, but she was unresponsive. Her pupils were fixed and dilated. Her hair was still wet. She was kind of cold, pale.
Dr. Fox, did you notice any injuries to this child's head when she came into the emergency room that afternoon?
I did, actually, and we were trying to, we roll them and look quickly to see what's going on, just to see if there's any extraneous injuries or activity or whatever. And one of the things that you do first on is to take off the rest of her clothes so that we can see what's going on, that we have access to her femoral arteries, access to her brachial arteries. But in doing so, we also check for other trauma to make sure we're not missing something. And I didn't see anything on the back. I didn't see anything, but there were bruising. It was actually red marks when she first came on her forehead, and there was some reddish to light purple marks on her right shoulder.
During her testimony, Dr. Fox was asked by prosecutors to explain her findings regarding the bruises on Adrianna's face. She demonstrated how the bruises might have been inflicted by placing her hand over her face in a manner consistent with AJ's description of the incident. This demonstration aligned with the forensic evidence and reinforced AJ's account, suggesting that he had witnessed the tragic events firsthand. Dr. Fox's professional assessment and observations lent credibility to the theory that Adrianna's death might not have been accidental, adding weight to the prosecution's narrative. As the trial progressed, the testimony of Amanda Lewis's boyfriend, Alan Carnley, provided further insight into the dynamics within the household and the events surrounding Adrianna's death. Alan Carnley, Amanda's boyfriend, shared that he lived with Amanda, her 2 children, Adrianna and AJ, and his son in a mobile home in Esto, Florida. He described Adrianna as a typical child who sometimes got into trouble but insisted her behavior was not unusual. However, under cross-examination, Carnley admitted that Adrianna had been in trouble multiple times in the days leading up to her death, including for incidents like spraying air fresheners indoors and tampering with a light bulb in her room. Interestingly, Carnley stated he had never seen Adrianna use their home pool in the 6 weeks since it was installed. However, he had seen her swim under Amanda's supervision at his sister's pool and during family outings. This contradicted Amanda's claim that Adrianna was cleaning bugs out of the pool.
Was Adrianna afraid of water?
No, sir, not that I recall.
How long did this little girl live with you?
2 years.
And it's your testimony this afternoon that Adrianna was not afraid of water?
That would be correct.
How long had you had this pool, sir?
About 6 weeks.
But you'd never seen Adrianna in that pool, had you?
That would be correct.
And you'd had that pool 6 weeks?
Yes, sir, that's right.
Now, you had been in that pool, hadn't you, sir?
Maybe twice.
And your girlfriend, she had been in that pool, right?
That's correct.
AJ, he had been in that pool.
That's correct.
But you, in that 6 weeks, if it was 6 weeks.
It was.
It was 6?
Pretty close, yes, sir.
You had never seen Adrianna, that little 7-year-old girl that lived with you in that home for 2 years in the pool, had you, sir?
Well, if you'll recall, I told you that my shift changed every day. I could have been going in early in the morning till late that afternoon, so no, sir, you're probably right. I didn't.
Well, do you work 7 days a week, Mr. Conley?
Well, no, I don't, but...
Okay. So on those days that you're off, is that the weekend, sir?
It varies. I can have a weekend day off, or I can be off during the week.
On your off days, did you ever see that little girl in that pool?
On my off days, no, sir.
In fact, you never saw her in your pool, did you?
I didn't see her in mine, but I seen her in the creek, my sister's pool, and I seen her also when we took them to the Pepsi trip up to Waterworld.
On the day of the incident, Conley recounted receiving a call from Amanda around 2:20 p.m. on August 8th, the same day as Adrianna's death. He described a casual conversation until Amanda abruptly took the phone outside, where her tone became frantic after discovering Adrianna in the pool.
Did you get a call from your girlfriend after lunch that day?
Yes,
telephone
I did.
call. Where were you when you received that call?
I was back in my apartment at work.
Do you know about what time this call came in?
It was about 2:20.
What was the nature of the call?
Like normal, we joked around with each other for a few minutes. It had been the first time I talked to her that day. She joked around with me. We talked.
What did you talk about?
She asked me how I was doing, how work was going, and I asked her how hers was that night. And then she told me what they were planning on doing that day.
And what was that, sir?
She was getting them ready to go school shopping.
Did you ask her what the children were doing, or did she tell you what the children were doing?
No, sir, that never came up.
As the trial progressed, the testimony of Amanda Lewis's boyfriend, Alan Conley, provided further insight into the dynamics within the household and the events surrounding Adrianna's death. Conley's account attempted to address Adrianna's behavior, the family's routines, and safety measures concerning the pool, offering a perspective that complemented and complicated the narrative established by previous witnesses. Alan's confession that Adrianna had never used their pool raised doubts about the narrative that she drowned while playing in it alone. Additionally, his account of Amanda's reaction during the phone call contrasted with her claim of immediate urgency. As the trial reached its emotional peak, the most critical testimony came from Amanda Lewis's son, AJ. His account was pivotal, offering a haunting perspective on the events surrounding his sister Adrianna's death. AJ's testimony painted a profoundly troubling picture that shaped the jury's perception of the case. AJ recounted waking up that day and watching cartoons. He slept on a camping bed in the living room while Adrianna was in her bedroom. He recalled playing outside with tractors and described his mother being upset after Adrianna sprayed something indoors. According to AJ, this led to Adrianna being grounded. Later, while playing outside, AJ stated he saw his mother pull a red wagon near the pool. Using a child's drawing he had created, AJ explained how he saw his mother holding Adrianna under the water. He described Amanda placing her hand over Adrianna's face and pushing her down into the pool. When asked how he felt during this, AJ said, "It was scary."
Tell me, AJ, what is this right here?
My pool.
Your pool?
Yes, sir.
The one that was in this picture that we just saw a few minutes ago?
Yes, sir.
All right. And who is this right here?
Me.
What are you doing, AJ?
I'm just playing.
All right. Were you playing with anything?
Yes, sir.
What were you playing with?
That.
Okay. What's that supposed to be?
I can't remember.
Okay. You can't remember?
Yes, sir.
All right. What is this right here?
A tree.
Were you playing in the tree or around a tree?
In the tree.
In the tree. Okay.
So,
Now, what is this right here? Who is this, or what is this?
my mama.
Okay. And what is she doing?
Killing my sister.
How is she doing that, AJ?
Putting her hand over her face.
Would you show me how she put her hand over your
No,
sister's
sir.
face? Huh?
No, sir.
You don't want to do that?
No, sir.
Okay. Who is this?
My mother,
And who is this?
my sister,
What is this right here?
my mother's arm.
Your mother's arm?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What does this mean right here? She did.
Died.
What?
She died.
She died. Okay. You mean your sister died? Okay. What this too bad? What does that mean?
That means it's scary.
It was scary. When this was happening, could you see it?
No, sir.
Was that a yes or a no?
Yes.
AJ's testimony was not without inconsistencies, a point the defense emphasized. For instance, he alternated between claiming Adrianna fell into the pool while cleaning bugs and stating that Amanda actively drowned her. He mentioned seeing soldiers in helicopters nearby, an account the defense argued was a child's imaginative embellishment. AJ also suggested Adrianna was drowned twice, once before and once after she went to the park, which was factually impossible. As AJ took the stand, the weight of his young age and the situation's complexity become apparent. The questioning begins with a simple yet critical attempt to establish whether AJ understands the concept of truth versus lies, a foundation crucial to the credibility of his account. What follows is a compelling moment highlighting the challenges of relying on a young child as a witness in such a severe case.
AJ, Mr. Bassford asked you if you could tell us the difference between the truth and a lie, and you said no, sir. Is that what your answer was?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me what a lie is?
It's not the truth.
Can you tell me what the truth is?
It's not a lie.
The defense lawyer made a compelling point when he asked AJ if his mother was present in the courtroom. Despite Amanda Lewis sitting in plain view, AJ initially failed to recognize her presence, raising questions about his awareness and reliability as a witness.
If I told you your mother was in the courtroom here today, would that be the truth?
No, sir.
That would not be the truth. Why is that? Because she's not in the courtroom?
No, sir.
Okay. So your mother is not in this courtroom?
No, sir.
Okay. And you're telling me that that is the truth, that your mother is not in the courtroom?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Where is your mother?
Jail.
She's in jail. You don't see her in this courtroom, do you?
No, sir.
Because she can't be here. She's in jail, isn't she?
Yes, sir.
It would be impossible for her to be here in the courtroom, wouldn't it?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, AJ.
The prosecutor swiftly intervened, gently guiding AJ to recognize his mother, who was seated nearby. With patience and care, he helped AJ overcome his initial confusion, subtly addressing the defense's attempt to undermine his credibility.
AJ?
Yes, sir.
When is the last time that you saw your mother? Do you remember?
No, sir.
Has it been a long time?
Yes, sir.
Who do you live with now?
My Aunt Carla.
Aunt Carla?
Yes, sir.
And does she have a husband?
Yes, sir.
Who is that?
Richard.
Okay. Is Aunt Carla in the courtroom?
Yes, sir.
Where is she sitting? Would you point her out for the jury? Okay. What color top does she have on?
Brown.
Okay. Is that her sitting right there on the second row?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, AJ, have you met this man before right here? Mr. Brandon?
Yes, sir.
All right. How about this man? Have you ever met him before? The one that was asking you questions, Mr. Walter?
No, sir.
Okay. How about Miss Kim right there? Have you ever seen her before?
No, sir.
All right. That woman sitting right there between them, Have you ever seen her before?
Yes, sir.
Who is that?
My mother.
Now you recognize your mother?
Yes, sir.
All right.
The courtroom reached its most emotional peak as AJ broke into tears upon finally recognizing his mother, a heartbreaking moment that laid bare the innocence and vulnerability of a child caught in a storm of tragedy.
I still object to this witness's confidence.
And your objections noted for the record. Previous order of the court is still in place.
AJ? AJ?
Yes, sir.
Give me your hand. All right. Here. Here. AJ, do you see these people sitting over here?
Yes, sir.
Despite the inconsistencies, AJ's testimony carried significant emotional weight. His childlike drawings, combined with his simple and direct recounting of the alleged drowning, left an indelible mark on the courtroom. The defense worked to discredit him, but his words added a layer of human tragedy and complexity to the case. The contradictions gave the defense an opening to challenge AJ's reliability as a witness. They argued that AJ's testimony may have been influenced by external factors, including his time with his grandparents, who had expressed animosity toward Amanda. Next, the courtroom shifted its focus to Amanda Lewis herself as she took the stand to recount her version of events. This testimony revealed not only her anguish, but also brought new questions to the forefront. Amanda begins her testimony visibly shaken, admitting she hasn't been able to sleep or eat since the tragedy. Her fragile demeanor sets the stage for a testimony filled with emotional tension.
Thank you. Tell us your name, please.
My name's Amanda Lewis.
How old are you, Miss Lewis?
I'm now 29. 28, I'm sorry.
Are you nervous?
Yes.
Have you been able to sleep?
No, sir.
Have you been able to eat?
No, sir.
Amanda describes her attempt to save Adrianna, detailing how she leaned into the pool to pull her out and performed CPR. She admits to being poorly trained, reflecting the desperation and lack of preparation during the critical moments.
And how were you able to grab onto Adrianna?
I was able to reach far enough to grab her foot.
And how did you get her over the side of the pool?
I pulled her to me and rolled her over and got her out.
Okay. Again, did the pool collapse when you did that?
No, sir.
And then what did you do once you got her out?
I got her out and put her on the ground and tried to give her CPR.
You said in your statement you're not very good at CPR.
I took the class in my CNA certification, but I've never had to do it.
Okay. So you took a class, but you never actually had to do it in real life?
No, sir.
Were you able to get water out of her?
There was water coming out, yes, sir.
Were you ever able to get any response from her?
No, sir.
Amanda recounts Adrianna's struggles, including behavioral issues severe enough to warrant professional help. She shares the incident where Adrianna threatened her younger brother with a knife, providing a glimpse into the challenges she faced as a mother.
Now, we've heard testimony that maybe you're a strict mother. Do you think you're a strict mother?
I just tried to make them mine.
Okay. And we've heard that Adrianna was headstrong. Was she headstrong?
Yes, sir.
Did you have to take her to a doctor? You mentioned in your statement you had to take her to a doctor.
Yes, sir. The last phone call that I got from the school, she had gotten in a fight, the little girl. And I had called to Laurel Oaks in Dothan and took her there.
What is Laurel Oaks?
It's a behavioral center.
And how long did she stay there?
6 days.
Did she also have difficulties with AJ?
Somewhat, yes, sir.
Did she ever exhibit any violence towards him?
There was one incident where Alan and I had stepped outside, and when we come back in, she had a knife pulled on Andrew.
She was threatening her brother with a knife?
Yes, sir.
How would you deal with a situation like that?
I didn't know how to deal with it.
Okay. And you sought professional help for that?
Yes, sir.
Amanda explains her disciplinary actions, such as taking away toys when her children refused to clean their room, She also shares that Adrianna was in the early stages of learning to swim, unable to fully submerge her head underwater, further emphasizing her vulnerability around water.
Okay, now the summer when you got the pool, was she still wetting her pants even during the summer?
Yes, sir, but it wasn't as frequent.
Okay, so she was improving in that regard.
Yes, sir.
And were you trying to teach her to swim?
We were trying to teach her to swim, yes, sir.
How far or how advanced along was she in terms of trying to learn how to swim?
She really wasn't that advanced. She had learned how to paddle.
But how about holding her head underwater?
She did not like her head underwater.
Now we've heard that maybe a short period of time before this incident happened that you took away some toys from the kids.
Yes, sir.
What happened there? Why did you take their toys away?
I had on numerous occasions a week prior to taking the toys to try to get them to clean the room, and they wouldn't, so I took their toys.
Okay, did you throw them away?
What was broken, I did throw in the trash, and what was not broken, I took to the mission in Graceville.
Okay, so you gave the toys away?
Yes, sir.
Addressing a co-worker's testimony, Amanda acknowledges saying, "I could have killed her." After Adrianna scribbled in her car with a permanent marker, she denies any literal intent, attempting to clarify it as an expression of frustration.
We also heard testimony from some co-workers up there at the Bonifay nursing home, or
they would have been from Graceville.
At the Graceville nursing home. Said one day you were just beside yourself when you came in. What happened that day?
Actually, it was the afternoon before. We were going to Dothan, and we were going to go by my dad's house. And prior to Alan getting home, they were putting their stuff in the car to get ready to go, and I had a black permanent marker in the console of my car, and she got that marker, and all through my car she wrote with permanent marker.
Just wrote all over the inside of the car?
Yes, sir.
That made you mad?
It did, yes, sir.
Okay. Did you lose your cool and beat her for doing that?
I didn't beat her, but yes, I did spank her.
Spanked her? And you told your co-workers about it. You were upset about that?
Yes, sir.
And you said, I could kill her. That's what they said.
Yes, sir, I did.
Did you say that? Did you mean it?
Not in that form, no, sir.
Amanda details her account of the minutes before Adrianna was found in the pool. She recalls AJ informing her that Adrianna was by the pool cleaning bugs. Instead of rushing to check, she admits she made a phone call first, a decision heavily scrutinized in court.
That day, August the 8th of 2007, when you went out on the front porch, not talking on the phone, and AJ said his sister was over around the pool, she was trying to get the bugs out of the pool, that didn't cause you any concern whatsoever, did it?
Yes, sir.
And that's the reason you ran right then to make sure that Adrianna was not around that pool, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Are you sure?
I went from the front door and grabbed my phone and went to the sliding glass door to see what she was doing. Yes, sir.
So you were not on your phone talking to your boyfriend when you went to the door?
When I went to the sliding glass door, yes, sir.
No, I'm talking about when you went out that front door to talk to AJ over there by the trees.
No, sir, I was not on the phone.
And that is when AJ told you his sister was over there by the pool.
Yes, sir.
Getting bugs out of the pool.
Yes, sir.
According to your story, right?
Yes, sir.
So instead of immediately running out there to your daughter, you pick up the phone and call your boyfriend. Am I getting the story right now?
Yes, sir.
Even though you know your daughter can't swim and she's not supposed to be around the pool.
Yes, sir.
The defense attorney highlights Amanda's conflicting statements regarding Adrianna's fear of water and swimming skills. Amanda insists that Adrianna could paddle enough to stay afloat, but concedes she would never let her swim unsupervised. These moments reveal Amanda's emotional struggle, inconsistencies in her statements, and a mix of maternal frustration and love. The first responders, including Fire Chief Cochran and other emergency personnel, provided critical insights into Adrianna's condition and the environment at the scene. Their testimony painted a chilling picture of a child whose tragic death raised more questions than answers. Fire Chief Cochran described his efforts to revive Adrianna. He recalled tilting her head to clear the airway and performing CPR, yet the child remained unresponsive. Despite his heroic actions, he firmly stated, in the effort at resuscitation, there was nothing done that would produce those bruises. His words subtly implied that Adrianna's injuries might have occurred under different circumstances.
Assessment, I noticed a bruise on the mid-forehead at approximately the hairline.
Would you use your finger and your forehead to describe what you were going to say, sir?
Other responders corroborated Cochran's observations. Jerry Jacobs, a firefighter, testified that he did not see any injuries during his brief contact with Adrianna. Yet paramedic Larry Cook noted a circular bruise on her forehead and a linear mark running through it, a detail he found highly unusual and inconsistent with CPR-related injuries. The pool itself became a focal point. Chief Cochran observed a red wagon and bicycle near the pool, suggesting Adrianna might have climbed on one of them, lost her balance, and struck her.
In the photos of the pool, you see a wagon and you see a bicycle. It was my assumption at that point that the child was up on either of those two toys. That type of a pool has no resistance when you put weight on it. It's water supported. My assumption was she went over the side of the pool, went down, hit her head, and came back up.
The witness, Amanda Lewis's cousin-in-law, testifies that she has been to the home where the family had set up the pool and confirms her familiarity with the setting. The witness observed Adrianna in the pool 2 weekends before the incident during a family gathering. She stated,
"Did you go to the house after the family had acquired a blue swimming pool and set it up in the backyard?"
Yes, sir.
Have you been in the pool swimming there?
Yes, sir.
Do you know about when that was? How many weeks or days before the drowning that you had been to the swimming pool?
2 weekends before the drowning, I believe.
So 2 weekends before the drowning, you were there, and who else was there in the swimming pool?
My husband, myself, my son, Amanda, Adrianna, AJ, and one of my husband's friends.
So it sounded like the pool was full that day. Did you get to observe how Adrianna reacted in the pool?
Yes, sir.
How did she play in the pool, if she did play in the pool?
Well, she swam the whole time we were there. I say swam. She was in the water the whole time we were there. She never moved away from the side of the pool. She always either held on to the side of the pool or held on to the ladder. She would play with her brother some and my son some, but still she would have one hand holding on to the side of the pool. There was one time that my son and her brother AJ kept going underwater and swimming, and you could tell that she wanted to try to do what they were doing, but at the same time she was scared to let go, and so she got my attention and her mother's attention and was going to go underwater as the two boys were doing. And when she did, she was holding on to the ladder, and she said, "Mama and Aunt Gidget, look." And so we were talking, and we looked over there at her, and she went underwater, but she never put her head completely underwater. She would only go about halfway, and her mouth would stay wide open. And when she'd go under, she'd come back up like she almost couldn't breathe, and she wasn't even underwater half a second. I mean, it was just under and up, and she was hassling and just kind of, like she was gasping for air, and you could tell she wasn't underwater long enough to,
Did she just try that one time, or did she repeat the effort over and over again?
She did do that a couple of times.
At this point, it was established that Adrianna could stand in the pool with water reaching only partway up her body. She was not afraid of the water, but fearful of submerging her head. Despite coughing after her attempts to submerge, Adrianna was able to compose herself, often holding on to the ladder or pool's edge.
When Adrianna was in the water, she could stand up, couldn't she?
Yes, sir.
I mean, the pool wasn't that deep, was it, ma'am?
I don't know how many feet, but she could well stand up.
Can you give us an idea, show us on your body how high the water came up to her, if you remember?
If I remember, I want to say from maybe here up.
Was it out of the water?
Yes, sir.
And even when she would go underwater and dunk herself, she would just like go down like this. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Even when she would do that, when she came up, she might be coughing, but she would stand up and grab hold of the pool or the ladder, right?
I don't know if she was standing up. Sometimes when she'd hold on to the ladder, she'd kind of let her feet dangle a little bit, but the majority of the time I remember her standing up.
Okay.
After weeks of gut-wrenching testimony, forensic evidence, and emotional courtroom exchanges, the jury retired to deliberate Amanda Lewis's fate in March. When they returned, the weight of their decision was apparent. The courtroom was tense as the jury foreperson gave their decision to the bailiff and the clerk began to read the verdict. As to the defendant, Amanda Elaine Lewis, as to count 1 in this case, the defendant is guilty as charged of first-degree felony murder. As to count 2 in this case, the defendant is guilty as charged of aggravated child abuse.
Madam Clerk, at this time, if you would read the verdict for the court, please.
State of Florida versus Amanda Elaine Lewis, case number 07282CF. Verdict. We, the jury, find as follows as to the defendant, Amanda Elaine Lewis, as to count 1 in this case. The defendant is guilty as charged of first-degree felony murder. We, the jury, find as follows as to the defendant, Amanda Elaine Lewis, as to count 2 in this case. The defendant is guilty as charged of aggravated child abuse. So say we all, dated this 22nd day of February, 2008, signed Eugene E. person.
One by one, the jurors responded with a solemn yes, affirming their unanimous decision. The courtroom, heavy with the gravity of the outcome, remained still as the judge thanked the jury for their service and dismissed them.
Members of the jury, the clerk is going to ask each of you one question individually. I would like for you to respond to that question either with yes or no. Madam Clerk.
Is this your verdict?
Yes.
Is this your verdict?
Yes.
Is this your verdict, Ms. Williams? Is this your verdict, Mr.
Yes.
Is this your verdict, Mr. Ford?
Yes.
Is this your verdict, Ms. Yes.
Okay, are there any other requests from the state before we let the jurors go?
Yes.
Any from the defense?
Yes, sir.
Folks, again, thank you very much for your hard work this week.
Despite the jury's unanimous verdict, Amanda Lewis refused to accept this as the end of her story. In the following years, she sought to challenge the decision that had condemned her. In 2010, Amanda Lewis filed an appeal, hinging her argument on a legal principle known as the merger doctrine. She claimed this doctrine precludes the use of aggravated child abuse as the underlying felony in a felony murder charge if only a single act of abuse led to the child's death. This appeal aimed to dismantle the foundation of her conviction, arguing that the legal framework used to convict her was flawed. However, the courts were unmoved. After reviewing her case, the appeal was denied, and her conviction was upheld, affirming the original jury's decision. The ruling reaffirmed the court's stance on the severity of the charges and the evidence presented at trial. Amanda Lewis remained incarcerated, her legal avenues narrowing as the years passed. Following Amanda Lewis's conviction, public reaction was divided, with many raising questions about the reliability of AJ's testimony and the broader circumstances surrounding Adrianna's tragic death. The case of Amanda Lewis did not end with the courtroom verdict. Another critical discussion revolved around statistical data on accidental drownings. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, reports that from 2005-2014, an average of 3,536 fatal unintentional drownings occurred annually in the United States. approximately 10 per day. Could Adrianna's death have been one of these tragic accidents? Adding complexity, Adrianna's ADHD diagnosis led some to question whether an undiagnosed seizure condition might have contributed to her drowning. According to the Cleveland Clinic, children with epilepsy have a significantly heightened risk of drowning, with seizures potentially triggering accidents in pools or bathtubs. Amanda Lewis's case has become a lightning rod for justice, child testimony, and forensic reliability debates. Advocates argue that Amanda was wrongfully convicted based solely on the inconsistent testimony of a traumatized child. Adding to her tragedy, Amanda lost custody of AJ, who was placed in a closed adoption and remains estranged from his mother to this day. Another Reddit commenter captured the case's lingering unease. Hasn't Amanda Lewis suffered enough? First, she loses Adrianna in what could have been a tragic accident. Then she's convicted based on the words of a 6-year-old child whose testimony shifted repeatedly. Meanwhile, AJ was taken from her, and she hasn't seen him since the trial. As Amanda remains behind bars, her case continues to polarize public opinion, leaving a haunting question. Was this a tragic accident or a grievous miscarriage of justice? This small, tight-knit community in Florida would never be the same after the heartbreaking loss of Adrianna Hutto. The echoes of her brother's words and the trial's haunting revelations serve as a chilling reminder of the fragility of innocence. But in the next story, the victim herself becomes the hero, defying unimaginable odds to escape the clutches of a predator. On a fateful September evening, 15-year-old Mary Vincent embarked on a journey that would test her strength, resilience, and will to survive. Left for dead, she would rise to expose her attacker and bring him to justice. Click on the next video to hear Mary Vincent's incredible story of survival and how her courage changed the justice system forever.